Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's David Palmer, Leo King, and we are here live for Deep Astrology, your weekly astrology forecast for the week of November 26th through December the 2nd of 2019. Thank you so much for everyone for being a part of highvibe.tv. You can, of course, watch this show full in its exclusive form if you are a subscriber to highvibe.tv. And this is the show where I go into all of what's happening in the astrology this week and channel it to you. And then we go straight into the charts, which are brought to you, of course, by Astro Gold, which you can get on iOS, Android, and all other Apple platforms. But if you're on PC, make sure that you check out Solar Fire. And I do want to say that, remember, this show and all my daily videos and my weekly horoscopes for sun signs and so forth are on highvibe.tv. It's a free app, free website with lots of free content. But if you want this show in full, and if you also want all that other exclusive content by all the other creators, make sure that you're a subscriber today. And of course, this show is sponsored by the W Bros. The W Bros collection is so awesome because it is all about horoscopes and bridging that with jewelry. So you can get it with your sun signs, of course, for your rings. I got this awesome ring, the Leo ring on, necklaces as well. And the best part is 40% off this week for Black Friday all week. So use my discount code LK10 and 10% of those proceeds go to helping out people with mental health, depression, anxiety especially. So make sure that you check that out. I truly appreciate it. And it's Jupiter and Capricorn starting next week, so I got the Jupiter and Capricorn videos now available. You're not going to want to miss them. They're super awesome. Right now, go to highvibe.tv. Check on the paid video section. You'll see all of the different sun signs. When you go to check out, you can bundle them and get all 12 of them for a huge discount. So if you have a friend or a family member or significant other or somebody that you're looking at that you might want to date and you want to see what's up with them and their Jupiter transit. And I cover more than just Jupiter and Capricorn. I cover the Pluto conjunctions, the Saturn conjunction that's coming after in Aquarius. I cover the square to Mars retrograde, how it's going to be affected during Venus retrograde. I cover it all. Make sure that you check it out on the website, highvibe.tv. Well, everyone, what a week. This is a new moon in Sagittarius week with the sun in Sag, the moon in Sag to start off with here on this Tuesday, and Jupiter on its last week in Sagittarius. I cannot be more real and more honest with you when it comes to the fact that this is where you open massive doors. You will see them in your life, and you have to be optimistic and you have to be hopeful, and in many ways you have to do a wish. We just had Venus and Jupiter last week, which is the first time that had happened in Sagittarius in 24 years. This is like Jiminy Cricket with the fairy godmother to make Pinocchio a real boy. But you got to believe and you got to really know what the wish is. You know what the one wish that Geppetto had was that Pinocchio would be a real boy. And boy, oh boy, how funny is that? Oh boy, oh boy. But actually, Pinocchio became a real boy. And there's something to say about this where it's like, this is where we have to use this Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn to really start to narrow in on the field and our long-term destiny, our long-term goals, and really believe truly that those are possible. This is what all this Sagittarius is about. Jupiter at these last degrees is very intense, especially in its home sign, because it's ready to go on a long 11-year adventure. And it has to go first into the harder aspect of Capricorn, which is going to happen here on Monday, with Jupiter coming into Capricorn in its fall position. It's definitely about knowing the belief, but knowing where that path is and understanding that path and using all this hope, this optimism, and really with Neptune as well, which comes out of its retrograde literally less than a day, hours after the new moon in Sag that happened on Tuesday. Wednesday early morning, Neptune comes direct. And talk about wishes, talk about spirituality, talk about this spiritual mission. We have to move into this new space. We have to see the visions. We have to see through the veil. We've just spent, almost half this year with Neptune retrograde, and we have really seen what Spirit has brought to us. It's time for us to use Jupiter. It's time for us to use Neptune direct and really go for our biggest imaginations, our biggest dreams, and use Capricorn as the true destiny point and the actual way to get there. There are definitely going to be a lot of Capricornian, slower, more evolved when it comes to slowly building these things. So you got to have that extra hope, and you have to use these amazing doors, especially with Jupiter that's been at this galactic center area. I always look at it from 26 Sag to 0 Capricorn. This is an area that you have to use the energy the best that you can, because this is where it almost feels like it was part of the deepest story of your life. These stories, that's what Jupiter represents, as well as stories, especially in Sagittarius. It's almost like these stories are playing out. And especially if we look at relationships, since Venus is in Capricorn now, and Venus in Capricorn is going to be meeting up with the South Node. It's going to be in sextile with Mars in Scorpio. We have a lot of dignified energy this week, but we're going to start to lose that energy faster and faster and faster. So this is where it's potent. And whenever you have a lot of planets in dignity, it literally is about, well, it's kind of like being a breeder, it's like breed the energy that you want. This is why are you searching so far and deep? Now it's time to take it on an adventure. This is the last decan of Sagittarius. It's about taking the adventure. It's about setting that arrow and knowing up in yourself, this is where I'm going. This is where I want it to go. This is my wish. Because that arrow points to the top of the mountain where the goat goes in Capricorn. And the one thing that people think in Sagittarius is that it's all about where the arrow lands. But it's more about the aim. It's Capricorn that determines whether or not you land there or not. Because we all know that arrows find a way to miss their target all the time. Because life happens, wind happens, weird things happen in reality. And so Capricorn has to know its reserves. And this is why it's important to use this week to go, what am I going to open up? Because this Capricorn season, this big eclipse coming on Christmas, this Jupiter in Capricorn for a year, with Saturn and Pluto will be the first time all three have entered in together into the space since 1282 through 84. We've never seen this, folks, in our lives. Not even our grandparents or great-grandparents, and not even when I do my ancestry that goes back to the 1300s. I'm trying to bridge the gap from the Palmers that were from the 1200s into the 1300s. That's where I'm lost. But I've gotten that far back, you know what I mean? So I'm just trying to tell you I can't even have an ancestor that I didn't know of yet, and I'm pretty far down, you know what I mean? Like I can get all the way down there, but I can't get that far. So, wow, that's a lot of energy. And you got to remember this week, the nodes. With Venus going to be on the South Node, while Mars is going to be trining the North Node and sextiling Venus. We also have the Sun in Sagittarius, which is going to quincunx the North Node. And this is all going to be interesting because the Moon this week is going to be going through, after this new Moon, through Capricorn and into Aquarius while this happens, about the connection to the future, the connection to the future life that you really want to have. And this is so important. I can't stress that one enough. I really cannot. But it's definitely a time where we can't be afraid. We've got to have optimism. We got to have hope. And we got to with Mercury, remember, still in shadow, but making aspects to Saturn, making aspects to Neptune, and getting ready by the end of this week as well to make aspects to that Pluto-Saturn stuff. It is all about us communicating, and we've really gone into our deeper thoughts. We've really gone into our deeper realms of our wants, our desires, and our needs. And we have to be willing to communicate it and be honest and be truthful and be real to these doorways that are opening up. I think that it's very imperative with Mars and Scorpio to use it correctly, because Mars and Scorpio penetrates. It finds its target and it knows it from intuition and it knows it from desire, and that's the higher positive realms. The lower realms are just trying to penetrate anything to get some sort of quick hit or desire. This is about looking at the long term, because Mars is making aspects to the nodes. Mars is making aspects to Venus and Capricorn. And so when it comes to relationships, this is a major relationship aspect, but about both being on the same target, both having the same goals, and both having the same ambitions, needs, and wants at the same time that are fulfilling this deeper emotional galactic mission energy, because of the fact that we do have all this nodal energy really approaching the galactic energy, okay? With Jupiter leaving in this space, the South Node heading towards it, Venus is going to be conjuncting this South Node in Capricorn, where Jupiter will meet with the South Node in Capricorn. And what's interesting is in 2012 was when Pluto was right at this degree, 8 degrees of Capricorn. So this last 8 years of the ascension, of the Mayan calendar shift, of the Saturn Scorpio stuff, everything we've gone through is all coming to these major, like time wave zero. Go look that up, Terence McKenna. This is all the compressed time of all humanity that was compressed in 2012, and now the energy from 2012 to this point this week and into the next 6 weeks is going to be that exact same compression, but with all of history's time compressed on it. That's how intense it is, the portal way. And I think it's so important to know that. Like, it's not something to take, like, I don't want to say, like, don't take it lightly, like, you know what I mean? Like, yes, take this lightly, because as far as your high vibration and positive wise, I mean, but negatively, like, we don't need to look at it as a negative. You know, some people are really upset with me because I'm like, hey, like, you need to do something about this now in your life. Like, it's so apparent. It's like, hello, it's in your face. It's like in your face. Some people wrote me today off my new moon horoscope, which are always free on YouTube, and my full moon horoscope, like, nothing happened. I'm like, Sagittarius isn't about what happened. It's about what happened when you went on the adventure and you looked at it, you saw the doorway and you opened the door and you believed and you went on the quest. It's not so much about what just shows up in your lap. That's Scorpio. And believe it or not, a lot of things started to show up in your lap in the last 45 days, believe it or not. It's what you're going to do with it. You're going to look back and go, it wasn't this last 40 days, you know. We can use like a biblical analogy, like 40 days and 40 nights, that all this stuff showed up, and then it came into a galactic door opening? Like, wow, holy shit. That's going to be the one that blows everybody apart and goes, wow. And I really love this week because you got to believe that dreams are possible. With Neptune now out of its retrograde, that's halfway through the sign of Pisces. Neptune at 1555 coming direct. We are now in the second part of Neptune's journey, the second half of the sign, which gets way more crazy and way more intense, but also about much more of our galactic and spiritual missions as well. And when you really take a look at the sun, it's going to have the moon, it's going to have Jupiter this week. And then the moon leaves midweek, about Thursday, right, when it comes to Capricorn. It's going to meet with Venus. So that's going to be pretty interesting. And sextile over to Mars. So there's a lot about relationships here, Thanksgiving into Friday. And then Saturday and Sunday is the end of Jupiter. It's the moon moving through Saturn and Pluto and looking at how intense karma really is. And then it moves into Aquarius while we're going to get Jupiter moving into Capricorn. And so we got to pay attention to the sun, though, because it's going to lose Jupiter and the moon. And this will be the last time we're going to see the moon in Sag connect with Jupiter in Sag. Now, for the next year plus, next decade, the whole next decade, we're not going to see a moon-Jupiter conjunction. That's kind of hard to take in because moon and Jupiter are benefics, and when they're in Sag, they're truly benefic about seeing the doors open. So it's almost like this is a last call this weekend. A last call to destiny, a last call to try and see what's there. Because once we go into Capricorn with Venus, of course, that's already there, but with Jupiter there, we're actually entering in the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto phase, which has not happened since 1282 and 84. And there's not a lot of options. I don't think you have a lot of options for food. I don't think you could just go to Whole Foods and go get whatever you want at whatever weight that you wanted and just walk out and hop into your car and get on your iPhone and just get on the freeway and go wherever you want and go live on Instagram and then, you know, do a million billion other things. I'm not going to say that that's still not going to be possible, but spiritually speaking, the options are drying up. Capricorn is a cardinal earth sign. It is the ruler of the winter on the solstice. And cardinal points are major season shifts. So when you get planets all moving into Capricorn, it's the coldest of the season shifts. And it's where we have to have the grit and the determination and the very limited resources because you can't take a refrigerator up with you to the top of a freaking mountain. All you can take with you is, you know, some Cliff Bars and maybe a backpack that holds like a stove and a little bit of propane maybe, or maybe it's better just to like figure it out on the trail. That's kind of that Neptune aspecting all the Capricorn stuff. So, in essence, I just want to let everybody know that this week is really important. It's important because it's beautiful. And with the sun, you're going to be alone by the end of this week in Sag. It's not going to have a lot of Sag energy. And even though Mercury's going to follow it here in the coming weeks, it's like Mercury's at detriment in Sagittarius. So it's not at its strongest, and we're starting to lose a lot of this more powerful, strong energy. And we want to use this Mars energy as much as we can, trying the North Node with Jupiter leaving. I mean, with also the Sun quincunxing the node and with Venus on the South Node. There is something to say about a karmic project and / relationship or a combination of both coming together. And we've got to make our choices now. What do we really believe? Where are we committing fully with Mars and Scorpio? Mars doesn't want to have anything but commitment and true commitment. And you got to go with your gut. You got to go with what you know, what looks similar. I mean, if we were all dinosaurs, you know, Mars, I'm born with Mars and Scorpio, so I get this whole thing, okay? Like, I'm a raptor. You all know that. Rawr! You know what I mean? Like, if you were, like, looking around at the other dinosaurs, I'd be like, where are my other raptors at? Maybe some of the T-Rexes, because I think that they can help in battle, but they're really lazy, actually, and they have really poor eyesight. They have to go based upon, like, sound. Whereas a raptor has cunning eyesight, knows exactly where it's going to go. That's why I would say T-Rex is not really Mars and Scorpio. I would say it's like much more like maybe Mars and Taurus. It's big, it's got a lot of energy, but it's got to sense it through physical aspect. But man, when it's a freight train, when T-Rex comes through, you know, at the last minute, like a typical Taurus, you know what I mean? Last minute. Oh, I'm sorry I was late. I was doing my hair and I was like eating some bonbons in the fridge and I decided to put on some cologne. I didn't like it, so I washed it off and put on new cologne. You know what I mean? Like, I'm here though. So there's something to say about this Mars and Scorpio about where is your other dinosaurs? What kind of dinosaur are you? Are you a brontosaurus? Are you a triceratops? Are you one of those little weird ones that spits alien baby goop at you? Forgot which one those were called. But there's something to say about knowing this is my tribe. This is my energy. When it comes to partnerships, with Saturn and Pluto getting ready to conjunct here in 6 weeks' time, because this new moon sets off that now, guess what happens in less than a month in the next lunar cycle? An eclipse. So we are entering fate train season, baby. Whip, whip. But maybe I'm going to change it to bullet train season, baby. Because this is intense and fast and hard-hitting and really the truth of whether or not you're going to see it and whether or not you're going to deny yourself because you're afraid or you're worried about everybody else's values because Uranus and Taurus is quincunxing this new moon. And with Jupiter getting ready to come into Capricorn, which does happen Monday, it's going to start to make a square to Chiron. But it will start to trine over to Uranus. Stop letting your own idea of how it should all look and stop worrying about what everybody else's opinion is, because as we said last night on Deep Love Tarot for this week, go fuck yourself to anybody that doesn't understand what you or you and your other dinosaurs fucking are gonna do. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. If it's really all about love and light and all this stuff, why do you care so much about what other people are going to say or do or whatever? If that's what's in your alignment of love, if that's what's in alignment of yourself. I thought we were a collective that really loved and understood everybody. But no, really everybody in the collective is jealous and really more importantly, most of the people in the collective are hoarders and are claiming, like, you know, and I'm just going to bring up a trigger. You know, people are really upset about animal cruelty because I am too. I get it. And how they tag those animals in the ears and they do all this crazy stuff. Well, you are all, everybody in the collective is spiritually doing that to people. Like, well, I was with that person, so that's mine forever. Like, if anybody else gets with that thing, fucking blah, 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 even though it was hell, I still have my tag on it. It's like a tag dolphin out there in the middle of the ocean. Like, where is it right now? Let's just check our fucking computer. Beep, 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 beep. That's you on Instagram. What's he or she doing? Uh-oh, if I like show off something different, what will they think? Have you thought about that shit yet? Because when you're dealing with beliefs and you're dealing with Taurus, you're dealing with rigid beliefs and you're dealing with weird values. And when you got Chiron squaring Venus that we just finished and we got Chiron going to square Jupiter, people's beliefs are not going to be seeing the same thing at all. Everybody's egos and everybody's idea of what integrity is, you're going to have to learn that integrity is about being yourself and being true to yourself. That's doing something that's still positive in the world, but has nothing to do about ownership of people. Because when Uranus is in Taurus, we get people like Hitler who decides that he owns people. When Uranus is in Taurus, we get crazy communism that starts owning people. When you get Uranus in Taurus, you get so many things about people trying to own other people. People start attaching everything to like, that's mine, when really the bank's actually the one that owns it. You know what I mean? With a credit card fucking that you bought it with. Actually, that was their money, but who got the money from that person, and how far does that Uranus thing, or how forward does that Uranus thing go? Do you think that the banks, you know, for example, I took out a loan for these fucking cameras. They're expensive as fuck. I've been paying them for 2 years. The payment's done in January. 2 years. It was a 2-year payment for 2 of these cameras, okay? And do you think the bank's tripping out that I adjust the camera a certain way, that I play with it however I want? If I wanted to take that camera and put it in the bathroom with me and slide it all over my naked body, do you think the bank's fucking calling me going like, stop doing that to the camera? No. No, they're not. You know, I have 2 cars. Both of them are bought, but the third one's leased. But even both of them that are bought have loans on them. Do you think that the car companies, do you think GM Financial's calling me and Lincoln Financial's calling me? And do you think that Ford Financial's calling me and being like, oh my God, you just had sex in that car and you got cum all over it? Like, no. No. They don't care. Why do you care so much about what everybody thinks about whatever you're going to do in your life and feels and your story? Oh, my ex, or this person I know, or this weird thing. This is what Uranus has been doing for the new moon in Sag that we just had. Uranus opposed the new moon in Scorpio, the last one. The time before that one was in Libra, making a quincunx, and the time before that was in Virgo, making a trine. And then we're going to get a solar eclipse trine Uranus, where in a month or now you're going to say, yeah, why the fuck did I care? Everybody's going to laugh over what's going to happen in the next week, because this weekend is the most powerful weekend I've ever seen in fucking astrology yet. And it's just going to get more intense. Because this is South Node Venus. This is Mars with the nodes. This is Neptune now direct. This is Mercury, you know, starting to make sense after it's coming out of the shadow and starting to see all this stuff and figure it all out. This is the sun making that major quincunx over to the North Node. Everything's on this North Node, and the moon's going to be in Aquarius, about the collective. About everybody has their own unique vibration, and everybody's going to connect. You know, some people don't like Burning Man people. I've even sometimes had some negative aspects just because I used to go and hang out with some burners, and they always used to call me the glam DJ or the glam spiritual guy because I didn't wear the hat and the fur and shit like that. But there's one thing to say, that in the collective there, they don't get all ownership on people. They have a whole event where it's all about everybody's people. They even have tents where everybody's just kind of, it's okay if you go do that. You don't have to go do that, though. You don't have to go into the sex tent where they think they go, here, would you like your condom, please? And what else would you like, you know? It's like, oh, do you have water, too? You know what I mean? It's like, no, me, I really wouldn't end up in that tent. But in that community, they're not saying you're a bad person because you're going to go into that tent, and they're going to judge you if you choose to go into that tent. So that's what if you want to be honest about the collective conscious and the age of Aquarius, it's not so much about free love, like everybody needs to not be in monogamy or everybody needs to be just free loving and whatever. It's not about that. It's about understanding that we're all people. Nobody's owned by anybody. And if people end up with other people or with projects or with relationships, or people go in this direction, they do that, and they decide to go build a mountain full of, I don't know, Pokemon, let them go do it. Why? Well, who cares? The only thing is that the opposite of Aquarius is when it rebels against people. That's the dark side of Aquarius. And if that rebellion is for the betterment, or if it's actually just to be the kind of crazy person, or because you're against the beliefs of that other side. And you know what? Let's be real. In politics, that's happening on both sides. Both sides don't agree with each other, so they're both rebelling against each other. And so it looks like one side's worse than the other, when the truth is both sides are just as guilty as the other. And that's not the way the collective wants to work, and that's why everybody doesn't like talking about politics anymore, and that's why everybody's so upset about it, is because the truth is, when you look behind this veil, both sides are just as guilty. Both sides were crooked. I have a theory that's so crazy that, I mean, wasn't Trump at Hillary's or Hillary at Trump's wedding? Like, don't you think maybe that both of them are in on this whole thing together and both of them are going to get off and they're both playing a really good charade to make everybody think that it's going to be Hillary that gets in trouble? No, it's going to be Trump. But the whole time, everybody's not going to do either. Start seeing with your third eye. Start seeing with your third eye for the things that have shown up in your life, the things that make sense, the things that feel like the other dinosaur that's within you. If it's an herbivore, great. If it's a triceratops, great. If it's those little ones that are really weird, that are like, awesome. But don't get weird because you've been searching for the last Saturn and Pluto and Libra of 82 and 83 for your ultimate partnerships here. And I'm here to tell you that it's been shown to you. And when it comes to that, don't be worried about what brontosauruses are going to think about you because you dated a brontosaurus and you were a fucking T-Rex. That didn't work. But don't be weird about what the brontosaurus thinks when you decide to get with another T-Rex. Let's take a look at these charts. Yes. The charts. Hope everybody's doing wonderful here. We all miss Craig, but I have Jax Atlantis behind the cameras tonight. And we've got Ann in the house as well behind this camera helping out. So I want to thank both of them so much for being here to help me. There we go. I was like waiting for some sort of noise because like we're high vibe, we're all about high vibe. We're going to try and change the whole network experience. Like, oh, if somebody doesn't say anything in the background, it's like, it's cool. I got a fucking quarter bakery cup right now. I even will do the You know it's good when you go at the end of it. And that's what I think we're all trying to have in our life is that moment. Where do you think that moment comes from? Oh, no. Moments are yes. Now, I just want to remind people that if you are watching this on YouTube, this is where it is going to shift now into audio only. So if you do want to watch the rest of the show with me going through the charts and so forth, make sure that you subscribe to highvibe.tv. And of course, you get my daily horoscopes, you get my weekly horoscopes, you get my weekly tarot, my weekly intuitive, and all my sun sign horoscopes. So it's pretty badass and super awesome as well. All right, let's take a look at Tuesday here. Wow, new moon, right? So this is a pretty awesome new moon because of the fact, of course, it's in Sagittarius and so forth. But here on Tuesday, it's already happened. It happened at 4 degrees. And what's really interesting to me about this is, again, that Uranus quincunx. We've been having a lot of these Uranus aspects to this new moon. And, you know, it's all about accepting the way that people are and allowing your values to be more open and free of acceptance. It's the only planet retrograde after we come into Wednesday morning when Neptune comes direct. Sure, we can count Chiron, but Chiron in December is going to go direct as well. But it's not a planet. So the last planet left is Uranus, and this is where everybody's weird shit is happening in their life. It's dealing with ownership of people. And it's worrying about what other people think about, you know, especially with all this Sagittarius energy, the opinions of others and stuff. Like, which, you know, who cares? Because with this Jupiter now at 28 degrees, coming to 29, you know, this galactic center is this 26 to 0. I mean, this whole band right here, you know? And so these are big stories trying to open up. Look at all this Capricorn now. Venus, South Node there. Saturn, Pluto. Wow, that's getting tight. And with that South Node now at 8 degrees, this is the first time we've seen it in 8 degrees in, you know, about 18 years. Now, Neptune with its stationary retrograde, going to come stationary direct here on Wednesday morning. If you look at it, Neptune's been making those sextiles to Saturn still. And so we're going to see with Neptune direct just alone on Wednesday, stuff changing about, you know, our destiny, our quest. And I think that that's super important to look at. Also look at this, Mars at 5 degrees, it's off the opposition to Uranus. So, you know, it's almost like we had to face a lot of fears and we had to also go into some really different and very exciting zones. But now we got to move forward into our truth. Here's Mercury at 14. This week we're going to see Mercury connecting with Saturn and over trine to Neptune. But really it was this new moon in Sag about the optimism and hope because this is it. This is the last new moon, of course, in Sag until next year, and this is the last new moon in Sagittarius with Jupiter. And, you know, what's funny is I haven't done the astrology yet of the next time that Jupiter comes into Sagittarius, but you actually don't know if whether or not you're going to have a new moon with Jupiter or not. Usually one will happen, but you don't know when, you don't know where is exactly Jupiter. Jupiter's pretty predictable, but those new moon cycles, you have to kind of really start to do the math, and you have to really sit for a second and really think, and I haven't done that yet. But we're not going to see this one for a long time. So are you ready to open up to the story? I know you're ready to see the truth, you know. Jupiter and Sag is about the truth. And all this stuff has come our way. Mercury to retrograde. That's why I said this last, 45 days, especially with Mars entering Scorpio, but with Mercury that retrograded in Scorpio, with the Sun in Scorpio transit, with the opposition to Uranus, the weird, crazy stuff did show up and come into our lives. So why aren't you opening those doors already? It's almost like maybe you're still trying to hold it off because you're afraid and you're worried about what other people think. Or you're worried so much about, oh, maybe I need to wait for something different to come in. Or something a little bit more the way that I want to. It's like, really? I don't know about that. If we take a look here on Wednesday, this is where things get interesting because, of course, this is the last day with the moon in Sag, and it's going to connect with Jupiter. And so start using your wishes, folks, for Thanksgiving. Look at this. Venus has been squaring over to Chiron. So, of course, when it comes to our mission, we have to let down our old ego's identities of the past and move into the new ones, but it's trining Uranus. We need to go towards whatever makes sense in our own values and world and whatever our own quests are with partnerships and unions and so forth. Who really cares what everyone thinks? All that matters is what you're going to do in the world. And with the Sun at 5, with Mars here at 5, we've been having this semi-sextile here, and Sun and Mars, they like this. The Sun would rather be in Sag, and Mars would rather be in Scorpio. And in a semi-sextile, 30 degrees, they're pushing all this planetary energy to move forward into this next new cycle. If you see here, it's think of it kind of like a wheel. When you have a car, you have an axle that's in the middle that's driving that wheel, and then it's, rotating the wheel this way forward, okay? And how much gas you give to the motor, which it's some people have front wheel drive cars like Hondas and stuff like that, so they basically put the drivetrain right underneath, and this is what turns the wheel. Well, when you get the Sun and you get Mars, right, and they're in semi-sextile and they're in signs they like, this is where you're giving it a lot more gas, and this is turning the wheel faster, okay, energetically, to give you more. So you go, and that's why sometimes if you have a front-wheel drive car like a Honda or Kia or anything like that, you're going to hear that chip, chip at the front of your car when you get around a corner and you give it more gas. It's chip, chip, chip. It's because of the front of your car's driving it. Whereas in American cars, or sports cars or stuff, it's rear-wheel drive. Or trucks, it's rear-wheel drive because that's too much energy in the front and you want to put it in the rear, and it's a little bit more balanced. So there's that whole rear wheel aspect where when you come around a corner, you can fishtail it, but there's something to say that whatever this is, front or rear, there's a lot of energy starting to turn this wheel around, especially just because if we look at these charts here, one, of course, let's count them again. Mars in dignity. We've got Jupiter in dignity, we got Saturn in dignity, and we got Neptune in dignity, right? That's a lot. That's 5 planets. Well, it's actually, sorry, not Venus, but, I did Jupiter there, but because that was from another thing, but it's 4 planets. And we see on Wednesday, Mercury trining Neptune direct. So remember, Wednesday is important because Neptune comes direct. And this is where we have to wish, because this wish, thank God, we're so lucky. And I'll have to show you guys all right here. When I look at this chart, let's go to Wednesday. And let's go to the hours that Neptune comes direct, which is around 4 a.m. All right, and then I'll do minutes. And it's right here we go. So at 4:32 a.m. Pacific, we're going to see Neptune direct. Now, why is that important? Because here is the moon and Jupiter closing in for our emotional wish. And this is truly a wish. It's a wish because, and I'm going to erase this real quick here. All right. It's a wish because it's so beautiful the way that this thing works. I love it. I love wishes, by the way. I know some people are probably saying, well, I'm not going to rely on wishes in my life. It's like, well, welcome to Sagittarius. We have to wish every day to a god or whatever your belief system is that we're going to be safe and protected, and we have to hope. Why do you think that in the middle of when the sun gets dark, really dark, Scorpio, and where it's at its darkest point, why do you think that Sag is in between that? What holds the dark together is the light and the ability of the galactic center to see a more positive vision. That's what gets you through life. So if you don't believe in wishes, then you're not going to have any wishes this life, and they won't be fulfilled. And especially, let's do this. Let's take, hold on here. Let's do a new one. Let's take the moon, and all day as Neptune's direct, it's coming on top of Jupiter. Bang. And then the next day it's going to come all over this, okay? So this moon's going to travel in a lot of karmic territory, dealing with our wishes, dealing with relationships and karma, and dealing with the feeling of that the next time the moon comes around Saturn, Pluto, it will be during the eclipse, and it will be ready in 2 weeks' time for them to come together in an opposition. So this moon's getting ready, going, I only have one more lap, and then this thing goes together, and we're going to feel the last lap of Saturn and Pluto, and the lap is a month of the moon. The moon, the last time that it's been with Saturn, Pluto, and with Jupiter, that will be moving into Capricorn, but that'll be in a lap. That'll be the next lap. That'll be a lap. That'll be 2 laps from now. But this is going to be the lap of feeling Saturn and Pluto coming together in Capricorn since 1517, 1518. But what's even deeper is that the last time that Saturn and Pluto met was in 1983, and that would be that the last time that the moon has actually felt Saturn and Pluto right before they come together for the last time. So, make your wish, and I'm sure that you've already seen your wish. I already made a wish today. I'll be honest with you all. I actually made a major wish, and you got to think big. It's Sagittarius. Like, think huge. Think huge. Like, don't be afraid in your life to think as big as you can feel and as big as that you can really see. You got to go as big as that you can. Is that camera not working or no? Yeah, don't be afraid of it. Like, this is the biggest wish that you could have in life. Like, I'm going to be honest, 10 years ago when I started this, I had a wish that I could sit here and do this. I had a wish that I could show a chart to somebody visually without having to like get a camera on a computer screen and do it with cool lights. And then, I didn't even know what came with the wishes. Like, Kim Tabay in that painting is just sitting here. I mean, I've always had the wish of having knights around me. I have it on a set now doing astrology for you all. Wishes fucking come true. And then I was talking to somebody today, I told them, I made a wish. And back to me, they were like, I hope it comes true. I said, all my wishes have always come true. And I can actually look at my life and I can say that every wish of mine in my life has come true because I believe 100% in them. And I think that this is where we all have to turn the perspective in our life. 100%, because looking at this Wednesday, it is how powerful that this moon crosses Jupiter. How, for the last time, for a decade and longer, that the sun at 5 as well with Mars, like I showed you, that turning of the energy, and so powerful. And with the moon also getting ready to cross into Capricorn, which we're going to see here on the next day. So when we get to Thursday, happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to just say real quick to camera, Thanksgiving, it's kind of lost a lot of its originality and understanding. Today it's kind of taken on more of a I would say it hasn't moved into a 21st century Thanksgiving yet, maybe, but it's kind of got a 20th century one still of like, oh, just be grateful for what you have in your life. And that was what the Pilgrims were doing with the Indians and stuff. But I think that, let's be honest, since my family did come on the Mayflower and I've been doing so much research on it, like they didn't really have a choice, number one, except to break bread with the Indians. A lot of people think that it was Pilgrims that killed the Indians. It wasn't. It was the British that came in and followed the Pilgrims and been like, where are you guys going? What did you build? Oh, let's come over here and then let's start killing people now, and let's expand this place. And then let's just turn it into, and then let's the people inside rebel and turn it into America. And then they kill more of the Native Americans. So let's just be honest about that, please. Because the Puritans, the Pilgrims, were Puritans. Like they did not want to kill anybody. Like they were trying to leave the pillage that was going on in England. Let's be real. And so on this Thanksgiving, be grateful for, of course, all the things that we are typically grateful for, the food, our families, and coming together, but be grateful for looking at yourself and where you've made it in your life. And whatever lessons that you've learned. You know what I mean? That's the main part. Is where you've made it, what you are. They were grateful that the Indians were there. That's what they were grateful for. They were grateful then, of course, that the Indians were willing to accept them and help them understand. Let's be honest, I don't think that the English knew jack diddly squat about corn and turkeys and a bunch of stuff. Who knows? You know what I mean? Like, who knows? We weren't there. But we can, and you got to remember that Lewis and Clark came way after that and went across and walked across America and saw bears and people in England, and nobody even knew what a bear was yet, let alone a squirrel or let alone like some of these crazy animals that we have in America, right? So I just want to remind people to be grateful for what has shown up in your life at this point, and are you going to break bread with it? Use this Thanksgiving about what you're not opening the door with that has shown up to you, and are you going to break bread with it? Or break corn with it, however you want to look at it. Even if it's Monsanto corn. Hey, I'll have some of that Monsanto high fructose corn syrup. I'm doing all right. That's a trigger, by the way, just to trigger some people. Now, Thursday is weird because we do get the moon on top of Capricorn, Venus, and that's benefic, but it's in Capricorn with the South Node with K2, and we have Saturn and Pluto here too. So if you see, this is a lot of Capricorn. And what's interesting is we do get Venus trine Uranus with the moon. And so it really is whether or not you're going to connect and break bread with what you know is your soul tribe and family, but what is your real soul tribe and family, and being willing to open up the doors to that with Jupiter now at 29 degrees. So now we're at a critical degree. Whenever we get to that 29 in anything, it's critical. And when you get Jupiter in its home sign, especially any planet, its dignity is always going to be extreme. You get Sun in Leo at 29. Why do you think Regulus has been there for this 100 years, 72 years prior to 2012? And it's extreme about royalness and stepping into, the true power of that Leo. Or when you get the Sun at 29 Aries, it becomes very extreme. Whenever you get planets like a dignity, though, like so Mars at 29 is always extreme in Aries. So we should have gone there. Bam. Or when you get Pluto at 29 Scorpio, that was crazy, the change that we saw in the world and how lighter it got. Because you got to remember that Pluto and Scorpio in 84 into 85, and then it went all the way through into the 90s. And then when Pluto came into Sagittarius, like, whoa, things got a lot lighter. It was like the world just felt like it was on air crisps. That's when they came out. I don't know if you remember air crisps. I don't know if you remember the programming on television. Didn't feel so dark in the world. That was Pluto at 29, the darkest degree. Take Neptune when it comes to 29 degrees of Pisces. We'll see that in 2025 into 2026. And holy shit, that's when the Civil War broke out last time in 1860 to 1861. And we had Abraham Lincoln become the president, and was inauguration was the end of Neptune there. So look at Uranus, edge of 29 degree of Aquarius. We saw that one. I want to actually show you all that one. That one's going to be intense. We're on Deep Astrology. I'm going to give you some deep shit. Fuck it. Because I don't give a fuck. Oh, all right, there you go, 2003. Now, what happened in 2003 with Uranus and Aquarius? Well, one, you see a lot of weird things. You see the internet's massive takeoff with social media. MySpace starts coming out in end of 2003, 2004. You see, and let's look at 2003, because that was also the war in Iraq. You also get people coming together, kind of like rebelling against the government. Like everybody didn't believe 9/11 at that point. Like everybody was like, loose change had come out. Like everybody was like, that was an inside job. Like this whole war in Iraq is bullshit, right? Like you see everybody in America and across the world going, this is fucked up. Like I don't think anybody was like, I mean, sure, there was going to be other difference of opinion, but it was more of a general consensus that the people were together, if that makes sense. But Uranus at the last degree, so in 2003, it's always fun to take a look. And this is a new thing that we're doing on Deep Astrology for those that are subscribers that can actually see doing it with me. Look at this. The last signal from NASA's Pioneer 10 spacecraft is received some 7.6 billion miles from Earth. Let's look at what was Pioneer 10. Pioneer 10 was an American space probe launched in 1972 that weighed 569 pounds that completed the first mission to the planet Jupiter. We're talking about Jupiter too, how funny. Pioneer 10 became the first of 5 artificial objects to achieve the escape velocity that would allow them to leave the solar system. And so this was receiving the farthest transmission away from Earth, Uranus in Aquarius at the 29th degree. At the conclusion of the STS-101, the Space Shuttle Columbia integrates during re-entry over Texas, killing all 7 astronauts aboard. I remember that. Wow. And now that's the weird thing about Uranus in Aquarius is it does rule weird, crazy unpredictability from the high and the low, and especially in experimentation. You have to remember, if we can go to camera real quick, you have to remember that whenever you're experimenting in a laboratory, okay, sometimes you're going to get the ultimate great thing, like, I don't know, like Dr. Albert Hoffman found LSD, you know what I mean? Like, whoa, like it was crazy. But then you get other people like CERN who fuck around, start smashing collider energy together of atoms, and you move us into different dimensions. Fuck. You know what I mean? Why do you think it's felt so different since 2012? So, disaster happens with Uranus all the time, too. And you know what was interesting is this disaster kind of set the whole marks of the end of the whole space shuttle program. It almost looks like they got really afraid, or people in society started to, I think, maybe not be able to handle it. We lost that whole edge of exploring the universe with people and moved it more towards more probes and rovers. Because I bet you there'll be some rover shit in here, because I remember in the 2000s it was the rover missions to Mars. But that was a crazy disaster. Look at that, I was right. Anti-war protests in anticipation of the United States and its allies invading Iraq to dispose of that was the whole Iraq war. I forgot about that. I was in the military during this time. The Iraq war begins with the invasion of Iraq. Uranus and Aquarius. It's always, and when a planet is in its dignity at 29 degree, fucking crazy shit. Jupiter's only going to be at this last degree for like 4 or 5 days. So if you're going to miss the adventure of a lifetime, which we'll go back to 2007 to show you all. So that was the Saddam Hussein thing. That was pretty crazy. Czech Republic approves joining the EU, the flea market. So that was kind of interesting. I call the European Union a flea market. Or I'll give it a little better term. swap meet. The Convention of the Future of Europe finishes its work and proposes the first European Constitution. Oh, that's going really good. A car bomb explodes at the Marriott Hotel in Indonesia. That's the second Liberian Civil War. The Northeast blackout of 2003 cuts electricity in the Northeastern. I remember that in New York, I think it was 3 days, there was a blackout in New York City. I remember because my ex-girlfriend was telling me when she lived in New York that like she couldn't even go on the elevator. She lived like on like 80th floor. And then there was no lights working or anything like that. Oh, Mars makes its closest approach to Earth in 60,000 years. It's very weird and Uranian. Now we're getting towards the Hubble telescope starts the Hubble Ultra Deep Field, making 800 exposures. An unmanned probe, see, first mission landed, okay. The popular and conventional Israeli warplane strike. China launches its first manned space flight. A lot of space shit with Uranus there at the end. An explosion. China is now in manned space energy. Saddam Hussein is captured. Libya agrees to eliminate all of its materials, equipment, and programs aimed at producing weapons of mass destruction. The WTO becomes a specialized agency of the United Nations, a World Tourism Organization, yeah. And there was a big earthquake that shakes Iran, and it killed 30,000 people. That's a lot. Okay. Now, let's do 2007 because this is the last time, and we're going to go straight to November, December when it comes to the end, especially December. This is how extreme. I want to show people dignified planets at 29 degree is the most of the critical degrees. Now, you can only say Mars at 29 degree because Mars at 29 degree is the ruler there, and we see it come through at 29 a lot. We don't, and Jupiter is dignified at Sag, so I guess Jupiter, when it comes, is a big deal too at 29. The Sun at 29. So if you start to notice, all planets in their dignity will kind of have the energy of what they rule. So when it's Jupiter at 29, it's going to be about positivity and expansion. You watch. It'll be probably pretty interesting here. 2007, and we'll go to November. Oh, well, there's a suicide bomber. High-speed one from London to the Channel Tunnel is open for passengers. A cyclone killed people in Bangladesh. Okay, let's look more at this exact thing. The Queen is the oldest queen to ever live, and she's still alive. That's good luck. That's positivity. Do you think that maybe as Jupiter is going to leave here into Capricorn, that maybe it's the Queen's end of her reign here in December? I've been making this prediction for a long time. And I actually put my balls on the line of astrologer and said that in 2019 that we will not see the Queen of England be there till 2020. So I have 1 month left to my prediction. I'm not hoping this for death. I'm not hoping for this for anything. I'm just saying that this, to me, I didn't even know. But there's a coincidence there. December 21st, look at this. If you move it back to 2007 and you go to the month, oh wait, sorry, then we go to the month. Let's go, and let's go to the month, or the days, and let's go back to the 21st. That was Jupiter at 0 Capricorn. And it was on that day. Look at the Sun, Jupiter, right? And look at this. It was Sun. The Jupiter had entered Capricorn. The Sun did not meet with Jupiter, right? So the days leading up to that was where we're going to be at right now. Now, Pluto was there. I cover that in the Jupiter-Pluto reports. But see this? Holy moly. December 19th, December 20th, December 21st. At that point, that's exactly where we're going to be with Jupiter on Monday. At the age of 81 years old, 244 days. So see how they go 81 years plus 244, because that was the exact day that she became the eldest reigning British monarch because Queen Victoria, who was aged at 81 years, 243 days, was upon her death. There's something to say about this Queen Elizabeth here, because if you look her up, and the reason why I made this prediction, but anyways, it's more positive stuff. They're not showing the good news because they only like to show the bad. But if you look at her, okay, and we do Astro, what blows my mind about her is when we look at her chart, I like looking at the one through astro.com here because they actually give us a Rodden report, which is a AA rating. That means that's her exact time. She's born April 21st, 1926. If we actually look at her chart here, which we'll be able to do, and we look at her chart, she's a Capricorn rising with Pluto right on the ascendant right now. It's about to cross over here during this next couple weeks. I mean, it's at 21, like 2114, like 2116, 21, like it's about to cross 2124, okay? 2, Saturn-Pluto conjunctions happening right on her ascendant, okay? 3, her sun. Her sun is 0 degrees of Taurus. You know who else was 0 degree of Taurus? Was Hitler. They had the same birthday. It might not be April 21st, but that's because she was born in the middle, right when it turned April 21st, right? Like 2:40 a.m. But her and Hitler share the same birthday as far as astrologically speaking. And during the Uranian energy of Taurus, the last time we saw the rise of Hitler, but if she's already been in power, it's almost like we always see the flop with Uranus transits. That's what I've noticed. And we see the flop in a lot of astrology. We're going to see like the, oh my gosh, I cannot believe we're not seeing her in power anymore. And there's been something been telling me, because with Uranus, the last planet retrograde, and it's in Taurus through December, the only planet that will be retrograde, and while Saturn and Pluto are going to be meeting up right on that ascendant in the 12th house, with the fact, if we look at her moon too, it's getting slammed next year by Uranus. Like there's not a lot of that. And her nodal return's happening, and she also has Pluto there in Cancer at 12. So the north node has hit her Pluto. Mercury has Chiron that was squaring it, or conjuncting it, sorry, this year at, what's that? That's her Chiron is 28. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no, her Mercury, sorry. 4. Chiron's been there. Venus, 13. Neptune's finished that. There's a lot to say about this chart. She's also got Mercury that went retrograde on her midheaven, and it's about to cross when it comes out of shadow here in the next couple weeks, all after Jupiter comes to the top of a story that's going to come out. You just heard it here, folks. Let's get back to the astrology. So, no joke how much Thursday is to be grateful for in your life, and to see what are you going to open the doors to with Uranus and Venus in trine. And now with Mars at 6, you're starting to see the trine to the North Node. Now with the Sun at 6, we're starting to see the quincunx to the North Node. It's building. Now Neptune is direct and move forward. It's time to move these spiritual adventures forward and beliefs. You got to have guts, though, with Mars in Scorpio. You got to have guts. Let's look at Friday. Mars still at 6, Sun at 7, Jupiter at 29 still. Use this energy, folks. Venus at 4. It's come off of the trine to Uranus already. Moon is going to be in a very sensitive spot. It's going to occult Saturn and Pluto on Friday, during Black Friday. Talk about a connecting with good energy in your bubble towards good energy. If you're moving this bubble towards your destiny with the emotional needs and wants that you want. So if you want to take this energy and go this way, you're going in the right direction. But if you're going to be in a place of restriction, oh, it won't let me do that anymore. But anyway, if you're going to move this place and keep it here in Capricorniaville and be like, I'm going to be a cornucopia and be more of a showboat, not actually, like, nobody eats anything out of a cornucopia. Have you ever noticed that shit? It's just for show. Nobody actually like goes, oh, nice cornucopia. Can I like get in that? What do you got in there? It's like, no, that thing's for like display. Like, don't touch that motherfucker. Like, that's what people are doing right now with like, it's like Morpheus has showed up with a red pill and you're like, I'll have the blue one. You didn't even listen to what he had to fucking say. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, even worse, the whole story of Neo in the Matrix is he gets the white rabbit because it says follow the white rabbit. And that door gets knocked and it's that hot chick. And he's like, oh, she's hot, but she got the white rabbit. He's like, I'm going to go towards that. And he goes towards that. And that's how he goes to meet Morpheus at the end of the day. And then he has to sit and listen to Morpheus. And at least Morpheus will offer it. But it's like, you're not even listening to Morpheus. You're like, hey, don't offer me anything and just give me a blue pill. Because it's kind of weird if you actually think about that whole entire thing. You get this whole weird aspect of understanding that why would Morpheus even offer him the blue pill? Wouldn't he just offer him the red pill or say, I guess don't eat it and leave? Right? Well, doesn't that make more sense? Like when you offer somebody a job, it's not like you offer them something else. Like here is a paper saying you're not going to take the job. Like here is we had an interview and you decided not to take the job. You don't do that shit. Like there's something to say about when forces come in, whether or not you show up to it, there is something to say like, I bet you that blue pill would have erased the whole entire memory of Neo even meeting Morpheus. Because already giving that information out was too much at that point. Are you going to enter to where you even get the offer to it? And then you know what? You might go in and then it's not you and then you eat the blue pill and you didn't even remember you ate the blue pill. If you listen to last night's spiritual dance music, I was subliminally throwing in, sure there was some Matrix stuff, but there was some JFK stuff from the medication he was taking. And hey, did you get some of those blue pills in there? And he's like, yes, sir, I did, sir. And I'm like scratching, oh, did you get some of those blue pills? Oh, God. Because after taking those blue pills, motherfucker ended up dead. Mercury at 17 here, so it's been in the trine to Neptune. We've been able to see this. This whole week we've been able to see it. But now it's going to sextile over to the Moon and Saturn during this occult phase. So we can see clearly now that the rain is gone. If you remember that song. And we can move this energy to actually towards feeling a destiny. And even though it's a big call, because it's gonna see where is your insecurities about connecting, where are your walls up. This is a weekend about where people's walls are, and if you're gonna continue to keep having walls in your life or not. Period. Point in, point out. Or you're going to really connect with what you know is truly divinely and opening up for you. And with Venus heading towards this south node and with Jupiter close by, the midpoint of 8 and 29 here is 4. So Venus is at the midpoint of the south node and Jupiter, which are about to conjunct. I'm telling you, stories that are karmic and about leaving behind old stories and stepping into new ones towards your destiny, you've got to make a choice about it. You've got to choose a red pill or a blue pill, and it's your own Capricorn weird shit that's blocking it or not. All right, let's move to Saturday. Shit gets intense because everything's coming towards this north node. So we get Mars starting to trine. We get the south node. We get the sun quincunxing this. And we get Venus now coming in a tight orb of the south node. We're going to start to feel it. And the moon comes into Aquarius and starts to square over to Uranus. And it's also going to make a nice connection to Chiron. So we can heal through connecting to futuristic aspects, new areas, new territory. We've got weird choices about expanding into new places that our emotions are going to find comfort, but it might be uncomfortable because you're going to have to see where your blocks are and get rid of those blocks and step into the karmic destiny and let go of it. And who cares what anybody thinks, too? Mercury at 18... getting close to the Pluto thing, but not there yet, and it's not out of shadow till we reach 27 degrees, so we're still in shadow. We also got Juno in the middle of all this at 9, which we are seeing in square to the nodes, but that aspect is ending. So there's been a lot about pressure because the destiny point of any chart is take your nodes. So in this case, in this chart, it's 8 and 8 of cardinal, and find the 8 and 8 of cardinal. So the destiny's point of the chart right now is actually where Juno is with Libra through the week, the whole week. And I'll take you back. And nobody's going to tell you this anywhere else in astrology world. I guarantee it. That the destiny point, even from Tuesday here, is if we look at, here's Juno in Libra, here's the nodes at 8. The karmic destiny point is 8 Libra and 8 Aries. We move it to Wednesday. Where's Juno? 8. Wednesday it is, with the new moon, like I said, about wishes. On Jupiter, Venus, trine Uranus, Neptune, direct. Wishes come true. We're at the destiny point of Juno, about relationships, the ultimate partnerships in our life. Whether you see it or not, that look like your other half are equal. It's like, fuck, people. I almost get discouraged, but I'm not going to, because it's like, I don't know how many times I have to say it, you know? But that transit's ending too. While the Venus is coming on the south node, while Venus is still at this midpoint, but now we're seeing it come off the midpoint, coming towards the south node, and we have the moon in Aquarius, whether or not we're moving into the future or not, the excitement. Or feeling alone, because you're choosing not to make some sort of choices here with things. Opportunities, opening doors, because Jupiter's here at the last bit. Let's take a look at Sunday. Last day of Jupiter in Sagittarius, Sun at 9, Antares is at 10 to 9. This is where bold moves come. Remember that Antares is the fixed star that is of Sagittarius, which gives in sidereal Scorpio its big red energy, which is 500 times the sun. Okay? Massive amount of energy in sextile to Juno, with the nodes being aspected, with Venus in the node, bang, with the moon now much more positive in sextile to the sun. This is it. You go for it or not. Mercury at 19, going to go to 20 and start sextiling Pluto. Look at that, 21-28. Where is the Queen? 21-24. Pluto's going to be on her ascendant. Mercury's going to be getting ready for the shadow. Jupiter's going to finish, and it's going to start on Monday, which I'll show you in Capricorn. We're going to get there in a second. Hold your horses for 1 second. But Sunday is important because Mars is trining the north node as Jupiter's leaving Sag. The sun is on Antares, quincunxing the north node. The destiny point of the nodes of the whole chart is Libra at 8 degrees with Juno exactly on the node. The moon is quincunxing the node. We will have a yod. If I would have moved the chart back a couple hours, we would have had a yod. We're going to have a yod to the north node. We're going to have Venus oppose the north node. We're going to have south node oppose the north node. That is a lot to the north node of destiny and Cancer and emotion and feeling and filling up with the truth. And with Venus in opposition to it in Capricorn, you know, pick destiny to emotion. Don't just pick emotion of satisfaction or control. Pick destiny. It's some powerful shit, folks. Remember, Neptune is now direct, of course, and Jupiter's on the last day. December 1st, too, rabbit, rabbit. Make sure you say that. I can't write. Here it is, Monday, last chart of the week. Jupiter's in Capricorn. Bang. You're going to see it at 10:20 a.m. Pacific, 1:20 p.m. Eastern. Pretty gnarly. We have not seen Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn together since those 1280s. And it's exactly going to happen with Venus on this south node at 8, which again, Juno is still at the destiny point with the nodes. Mars is still trining the north node. Mercury is now going to sextile over to Pluto. Okay? The sun is at 10 exactly on the exact position of Antares. Until 10:20 a.m., you're going to see that your whole world's going to shift. And we have never seen this before in our life since the 1200s. And with Jupiter, that's going to come into Capricorn in ingress here. Remember, it's at its fall position now, and it's activating and giving more power to Saturn in its home. Pluto is giving more Saturn. Now, Saturn has got the power of Jupiter behind it, and Saturn's got the power of Pluto behind it. And it's got Venus that is locked into a karmic thing in power to it, which usually Venus doesn't want to help out Saturn too much. So Saturn has even his bad guys all on his team. Mars is also supporting all of Saturn's stuff. So is Mercury and the Scorpio energies supporting. So Saturn doesn't have a bad thing going on over here. Saturn's having a Capricorn party. And you know what the Capricorn parties look like? All right, everybody, take off all your shoes. Anybody who's wearing anything funky on, anything that is just not, in order, anybody who has not really signed the paperwork and the guest book at the front, anybody who was not invited, anybody who's not going to donate anything today, anybody that is not going to progress forward with me in life can leave now. I mean, it literally is that harsh. And I don't want Capricorn to take that the wrong way. But there is an attitude of Capricorn itself, which is about that. And I think that that's what makes this, are you going to miss on the boat? Because it's literally I'm sorry, time's out. The other thing that Capricorn rules is time. Time's out. Sorry. I don't know what to say because now, and I'll erase all my chicken scratch, my Thanksgiving scratch. Now the sun is all lowly by itself in Sag. And when it looks now at the dispositor, it's a little bit of a serious, not a little bit, it's very serious that the beliefs now have to be in seriousness because the dispositor of Sagittarius from the sun is now in its fall position in Capricorn. So when the sun's in Sag and Jupiter's in Capricorn is actually one of the hardest transits that the sun can ever be in Sagittarius. Because you don't have a lot of options now. You're on the adventure of whatever destiny that you chose. And whether you chose to block destiny because you have insecurities with emotion and you're too afraid to feel, no matter if they're good, bad, or ugly, and especially you're too connected to the past and how they affected your emotions, because this is actually about whether or not you're ready to get rid of past life emotional sensitive traumas and this life emotional traumas. Because with Neptune now direct and come through the half of the sign, if you're still holding on to the past and you're still holding on to the past life stuff, if you're still holding on to anything from the past in general emotionally and your sensitivity about moving forward, then guess what? You have emotional traumas and that's what's blocking you. So you'd rather stay into control, and that's where the South Node is, and you can just hang out with Saturn and be in that really party where there's no music, there's no color. It's literally I remember when I first built this set, and we were doing the first high vibe shows last year, and it was just the wood behind this and the screen. People were like, man, this looks like such a Capricorn set. I was like, oh no. Now there's color everywhere and stuff, right? Imagine if all the color was gone behind me. Imagine if this cool painting wasn't here. That's Capricorn. You ever walk to a Capricorn's house? It's simple, it's clean, it's nice, but there's not a lot of wow factor, you know what I mean? And the moon at 23 degrees is going to square Mercury. We don't really have, if you look at the ingress, this is the actual chart of everything that we're seeing here. I can actually just go boom, 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 boom. All right. This is what the chart is in the this is the ingress of all the stuff we're going to see with Jupiter and Cap. Okay? We're going to see Mars in the North Node. So, are you going to have the guts to penetrate, as I said at the beginning of this, into emotion? 1, to destiny. 2, with the destiny point of the chart, it's about relationships that you choose. I know that might sound crazy, but as the ingress of Jupiter in Capricorn for this next year and for we haven't seen this in 800 years, it's Venus conjunct the South Node of relationships, and Venus and the South Node are squaring Juno, and Juno is the destiny point of the chart. There is nothing at 8 degrees of Aries. We also have, as Jupiter comes in, it's squared to Chiron. So are you, again, going to let your wounds affect your destiny? These are like stupid wounds affecting your egos, like desires and wants, the way that you want it to see, but it's not going to go any way that you want to, because Chiron in Aries gives nobody what they want to. That's why the hippies in the 70s, when Chiron was in Taurus, started like growing out their hair long and being like, well, just all right, and just smoking weed and let's see what happens, because if you put your ego first, fucking it ain't going to happen. And you're going to notice that with this ego thing, it's so much about more of like just what's in alignment with a higher source and what destiny is throwing in your face. Saturn also comes to 18 degrees. Wow. So now we are finally off a lot. Saturn's heading to the races, and now we are at what we call in astrology the 3-degree orb. We call this the orb that within orb, that we are in Saturn and Pluto's reign. 3 degrees is the, I would say, wide-ranged understanding in astrology of an orb, meaning transit coming together. With Jupiter at its fall and at 000, and with the moon in Aquarius trying to connect all these pieces, but it's in a lot of, look at this, the moon is actually Ceci's quadrant over to the North Node. That's a 135. All right? And we have the sun at 10 on Antares. It means that you're going to have boldness. You're going to have a warrior quality to you through this transit. I cover all this in all the videos, so make sure that you check out those Jupiter and Capricorn videos. But this is going to be my final words here with no chart and just me with you in the camera here. Honestly, I will say you got nothing to lose. You got everything to lose by not trying and seeking and speaking and being you. Mercury is connecting with Saturn, connecting with Neptune. Neptune is coming direct. There is a new moon. This is Jupiter on its last days. Don't waste this. Try it, see it, explore it, open up, see it, find all of it. Be wise by giving yourself as much as you can to see, to experience, to understand itself before we step into this Capricorn. Because I'm sorry, when December 2nd comes with Jupiter entering into Capricorn, that's activating an 800-year cycle. Well, it's like 1280s, so we're in 2020 coming up here. I mean, it's like 760. So I round up to 800, but I know there's going to be tech nerds out, technical people like, it's actually 758 years. I'm like, okay. But do you see, I don't give a flying fuck what people think. I'm sorry, it's an 800-year cycle. Gee, minute Christmas. So, oh man. But remember that we are in Sag. We are into where it's still optimistic, but whether or not you open all the doors. One thing about Sag is Santa Claus comes for those kids who believe in Santa. Once you stop believing in Santa and you start to tell your mom and dad, like, oh, I get it, and it's cool, I don't believe anymore, is when you become Capricorn, you don't get as much cool shit from Santa anymore. Have you ever noticed that? The older you get, the more you don't believe in Santa, you don't get anything from Santa. The more that you become older and you think that you're too cool for Disneyland is when Mickey and Minnie seem like stupid and you don't go to Disneyland as much. And then people start to call people who go to Disneyland like, oh, they're stupid, or they even get labeled as gay or anything like that. It's like, why not live a happy life? Why not live in your dream? You know, I love Walt Disney because he continued his dream all the way until his death. He had Epcot Center like all built in his head and the models all done, and he was going to go do Disney World in Florida, and he died. But he kept his dream, he kept his vision, he kept his doors open. I don't know if people realize that Walt Disney, it wasn't like Disney made a lot of money through all those movies. Sure, he had his own lot, sure, he had his own studios, but to build Disneyland, he took out a loan for, I think it was only like $200,000 from CBS in order to fund Disneyland and the construction and all the work and to buy the land in Anaheim, which is only about 7 miles from here. And what was interesting was he had to do television shows on CBS every week telling people about Disneyland. So he had to show up and do a TV show in his office at his own studios about Disneyland and what was going on there to sell people to make sure that they would fucking go. That was a requirement in the loan, and he had to pay the money back. Even at that age. That was near the end of his life. So if you think that this whole thing about wishes don't come true, they come true, but with Capricorn, you got to still do the work. Like even Disney, his wishes came true, but it's not like he just was like, oh, he made Snow White and fucking next thing you know, he's just a fucking bajillionaire. You know what's crazy is after Disney's death, it's made, I think, like not even close to what he made in his entirety of his life is even close to the amount of money it's made till after his death. Like the number is redonkulous in the billions opposed to what he never even got to feel $1 billion. You know what I mean? So dreams go beyond your death. They go beyond, but it's about what you do. That's how big it will go into the ethers for the rest of humanity and to the rest of the universe. And carry on with you throughout and carry on in realities through you out. If you can't dream that big in your life right now, if you can't believe that what's shown up in your life that you see right now, because when he built it and he saw Mickey, he just knew. And he put everything on that Mickey because everything before that he had gone bankrupt many times, he had failed. His brother was the one that was helping him and got mad at him because he put his name in front of it because it was his idea to create the company, but it was his brother who was drawing the cartoons. That was a fiasco. But you know what? At the end of the day, he kept on doing it. And at the end of the day, he believed. And it did pay off and he did win in life. You know what I mean? His dream did come true. And dreams do come true. But you're going to have to be willing to, I mean, I'm sorry to say, like not give a fuck about what everybody thinks. You're going to have to go for what you really want. You're going to have to see that it's all there. Like, trust me, I'm sure, because if you look at the older cartoons before Steamboat Willie, like it was like they were trying weird ass fucking characters and shit, like that they thought was right. But everybody was like a mouse, like come on. And then when he went and did it and did Steamboat Willie, he went innovative. He added sound. And he spent a lot of time on that. And so to hear the toot toot with the whole Steamboat Willie in a movie theater, people were freaking out. And then as it progressed, turned into everything. Even if you watch like some of the old documentaries, you have to see that he was the first one to use 3-dimensional camera technology when they would do the drawings and they would run it, and then he built his own camera system that would layer. So when you're watching Pinocchio, it's the first one. When they swoop into Pinocchio's village, like where he lives, it actually is 3-dimensional because they would put in the camera in this long lens, in this weird big box, the cartoon images of like 3-dimensional looking of the tops of the homes and stuff and the hills in the background as the camera would zoom in on the cartoon shit. That's Sag. If you can't see all the pieces in your life to do that, to put together, to build your own camera, to build your own vision, and to make it look that way, instead are you going to just be like, I'm just going to cock block myself and just not let anything in? You're going to not be left with shit. I'm just going to say that right now. Capricorn will be rough for you. 2020 will suck. It's a year of the rat coming up. We're ending these year of the pig here in the next 2 months. Once we have that new moon in Aquarius, get ready. It's rat time. And the rat wins the race by jumping off an ox. And I will say that again and again and again until you're so pissed at me you think I'm repetitive. Because I'm going to get it into your subconscious as much as I can. That's what Merlin taught me to do is how I do my astrology. And one of the greatest things Merlin ever told me in my life on a past life regression was that my daily video horoscopes and the way that they were done and how they get the message, and that's the spell to the collective conscious to wake up. that I have a spell about the wake up, and I will do that however I can. And if you're not going to use the data here, then we're moving into a year of the rat, that Jupiter in Capricorn is here with the South Node, with Venus on it, and with all these aspects in the North Node this week, with Jupiter at the end of Sag, with this new moon in Sag, with it quincunx Uranus, with Venus trine Uranus, with I cannot make, I'm like, if you're at this point, you don't see all the pieces together and you don't know how to put it all together, and if you're going to block from it and you're not going to see the benefits, you're not going to be grateful for what's here, and you're not going to open the door, and you're not going to accept it, and you're not going to experience it, and you're going to worry about what everybody thinks, and you're going to worry about why you can't go into it, or why you don't want to feel, or why you don't want to open the doors, then good luck, because the only way you win with rat is you jump off, you use the ox, and then you jump forward. There was no rule saying you can't jump off another animal to win the race. He didn't break the rules, the rat. He was just smarter and cunning and intelligent. And that's what you're going to have to be in Capricorn, and use whatever you got. What's the resource you got? Knowledge. You gain that in the pig. You gain that in Sag. And you gain that by all the doors that you see, and by bringing them all together and accepting them all to use that resource and that energy to get through Capricorn. That's about to be the biggest Capricorn transit in our life. So this year of the rat is the biggest year of the rat we'll ever see in our life. This is a gnarly rat. And if you ever watch The Mouse Detective, it's Ratican. I dare you to go look up Ratican on Google. By the way, I'm Ratican, if you all didn't know. I love you all very much. Make sure that you check out After Dark here on highvibe.tv. That'll be live streaming after this. We're sending out notifications now, so you update our apps, our iOS and Android apps, because you can get the notification. Make sure that you have notifications allow, and then also on the app, there's a little part in your settings section that says allow. The apps are free, so we have tons of free content on there. And of course, if you're watching this on YouTube and you just keep getting the audio and you want to see me do the charts and how I go through all these dates and all this stuff, just be a subscriber, and you get all my video horoscopes, my dailies and my weeklies and my sun sign horoscopes. It's a lot. And everybody else that's on High Vibe. And all those paid video specials, Jupiter and Capricorn special. This is an amazing moment. Do something about it. And when it comes to the jewelry at the W Bros, 40% off. You can get a cool Leo ring and match me if you're a Leo out there, you got a Leo rising or something, or get all three. Like, I'm getting all three this week, so check it out. Discount code LK10. Anyway, thanks so much for all your support. I want to thank Jax, and I want to thank Ann for helping me today. And make sure that you check out Jack's video. I'm going to plug Jax right now because he has awesome tarot videos every day on the app, if you're a subscriber. I love you all very much, and we'll see you on the next Deep Astrology. So this video is going to give you the tools, it's going to give you the steps, it's going to give you the questions for you to ask yourself to prepare yourself. It's going to give you my opinions on what best course of action to take. And you can take it or you can leave it, or you can take parts of it or none of it. To me, as long as you're willing to listen, as long as you're willing to hear me and take it in and ask those questions, do you want to be in it or not? Like that's what the call is. And that is, I think, the deepest part of this energy is when people start going, I want the energy to go back to normal. You want the energy to go back to where you don't have to participate in anything anymore. And you just want to go sit back and watch the whole show. And guess what? The universe is giving you that opportunity here as the build up to 2020. But do you really want that in your life? Is that really, but I'm not saying, maybe I'm saying that because I'm somebody who feels that I don't want it, I don't want that. So I can't judge you for being in that space. But I can tell you from an astrological point of view that sure, it might feel more comfortable to be in that space, but there is going to be something of not being fulfilled.